Well, who's ready to talk about Young Justice Season 5? Well, one of the creatives behind the show has recently did an interview, delved into some details about the show's hiatus, and how optimistic he is for a potential Season 5. So let's dive in. Well guys, we're getting Young Justice news less and less, but let's be clear, the war is far from over. Many of us fans are ready for the show to come back, and I still feel very optimistic the show could return on Netflix or Amazon sometime in the near future. Now, we got no new updates via Comic-Con, which has led to a lot of fans being pretty concerned, but I'm going to keep encouraging everybody to check out that Young Justice Targets comic and continue to talk with our wallets because that's exactly how the show will get renewed and kind of takes us to our story today. Now, over the weekend, the team over at the Cartoon Base, which by the way, it's a great account over on Twitter, something you should definitely be checking out, well, they had an exclusive Q&A with storyboard revisionist and comic book artist Christopher Jones. Now, if you're a fan of Young Justice, you know who Christopher Jones is. He is the artist behind the companion comic series that fills in so many of the great details and expands the Young Justice universe in ways many people have no idea goes on. Again, that's one of those things you should be checking out, and we do have a link down below. Now, the Cartoon Base really got two really big answers out of Chris about the future of the show, and I wanted to bring both of them your way. Plus, he answered one of our questions, and I thought that was interesting too. Now, first they had him talk to the show itself and whether it's still just paused or got canceled or what. And Chris gave a great answer that seems to affirm some things we've been saying here for a long time. He said, "People seem to have the idea that the fault was that Young Justice was going to keep going season after season unless someone stepped in to pause or cancel it. The reality is that after the initial 2-season run on Cartoon Network, it was doing so well on streaming on Netflix that it started to generate some interest in some kind of revival. It was at that time that DC started planning to launch their own streaming platform and decided to commit to producing Young Justice Outsiders, a 1-season commitment. After Young Justice Outsiders ended, the entire DC Universe platform that folded into the new HBO Max platform, and Max decided to commission another season, Young Justice Phantoms. Again, a single season commitment. So there was no clear expectation for it to keep going. Although, producers Greg Weisman and Brandon Vietti certainly had the ambition to do more and a roadmap of plot lines they'd like to explore. It's a question of convincing the powers that be to spend the money and commit to making more. Given the shifting landscape of the streaming universe, the recent transformation of Warner Bros. Into Warner Bros. Discovery, and the creation of DC Studios under James Gunn and Peter Safran, there are a lot of variables at play. So a lot of things can happen, but I couldn't begin to guess at a timeline. Now, I have to say, this is pretty much what we've been saying all along. The show itself really wasn't canceled as much as a next season just simply hasn't been ordered. Now clearly the show's still popular and tops many of Max's current popular series. There's also a lot of outside interest in the show, and I do believe the penny pinchers behind the scenes at Warner Bros. And Max know the show is popular and probably would like to do something with it. Now when you look at this statement, some people might start to feel like there's not a lot of hope, and I think you should probably temper that because it's pretty clear Chris actually is pretty optimistic about the future of the show. In that same interview with the Cartoon Base, he said, "If the fandom stays active and engaged, I think it's a matter of time before someone decides to give it another go. Whether that's a new season, a movie, or something. As Greg likes to say, never the end." Now, I don't want to get overly excited about what Chris had to say here, but the idea of a Young Justice movie is pretty big. That would be a great way to close out the series and give fans the closure they've wanted for a really long time. Also, he makes it pretty clear, he's optimistic. And you know, last year at Rose City Comic Con, we got the opportunity to speak to Khary Payton, and he was clearly very optimistic about the show also. So I think this is nothing but good news for our chances. Now, additionally, he actually answered one of our questions, and I took this a step forward and asked him what fans should be focused on to help push a new season into production. And his response there was also pretty telling. He said, "The question is whether there's enough fans who would pay for more Young Justice to make it worth the investment on their part, which is why supporting the brand with your spending dollar or with your viewership where it can be tracked, like streaming platforms, are always the best option. Just keeping the fandom alive and active is the best thing for now. When there's a new product, support it by buying it if that's affordable. I tend not to push for things like petitions because it's not like the powers that be don't know there's a following that would like it." Now, Over the course of this interview, Chris gave us a ton of really important information, and I think most of it's pretty spot on for what we've been saying on this channel. Basically, what he's saying is to keep the fandom alive by spreading all those hashtags we've been posting over the last couple of years, sharing Young Justice videos, like the ones we publish on this channel, and buying Young Justice products. That would be that Young Justice Targets, Blu-rays and digital streams of the show, and watching it on HBO Max, well, over and over again. Obviously, most of us are pretty excited for Season 5, and we're going to stay focused on this, but Chris gave us a lot of hope over the weekend and a pretty clear roadmap on what we should be doing, so I think we should pay attention, and hopefully we force Warner Bros. Discovery to give us another shot. But we'll have to wait and see.